Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Don Martelli with the PR Bunker Podcast. Really pumped about today's session. Talking to my buddy JP over at Questrom School of Business, talking about how a business school can turn themselves into a media entity and using insights to drive influence for their business. Hello, everybody. I am pleased to be joined from by a colleague, friend, former client, current client, my buddy JP over at Questrom's School of Business at Boston University. What's up, JP?
Hey, Don, how are you?
I am just peachy, my friend. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. You know, I think we're all just navigating the world as it is right now and trying to think about what the future holds for us, all while we try to get out of what's here now and see the world and see people again. So,
right.
It's fun times right now.
It's a fun, crazy, unprecedented, all of that.
That's right.
Obviously you and I know each other, but I'd love to have you give our audience a brief introduction of your background and how you got to Questrom.
Sure. Yeah, not a problem. I wound up in higher education, not intentionally. I don't think anybody goes into higher ed administration intentionally. No one grows up saying like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a college administrator. I came by it because I was incredibly engaged as an undergrad in student gov. And I knew I wanted to go into business. I knew I wanted to go into leadership and all those different types of things. And what I kind of realized during my time there was that higher education is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I come from a long line of family that are all educators. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to follow that path, go into education. So I did my master's and doctorate in higher education leadership. Worked in career services for about 10 years at the University of Pittsburgh. Got to see the ins and outs of corporate development, student coaching and counseling, including a short stint as an academic advisor. And then moved to Boston and came to work at the Questrom School of Business in career services again. But after a year in that role, was asked to take on a leadership role as the Associate Dean for Student Affairs for the school. And so I had a lot of interactions with a lot of our student services offices, the inner workings of the institution. And more recently, I was shifted into a role directly reporting to the dean as the Associate Dean for Strategic Initiatives. And in that role, I handle a lot of major projects. I call some of them the sort of like the island of misfits or the projects without a home.
Sure.
And work on helping to implement those, bring those to life and get them to a point where we can kind of turn them over to a more permanent structure. And in that role, I also oversee the office of the dean, the executive office of the dean, and work on strategic communications, which is where we've crossed paths now more recently in that work. So I think that's a brief stint about what I do and how I got to be you.
That's great. Well, I think that, we at the Belfort Group and in my professional experience in years, I've worked at a lot of schools. And what I love about the work with Questrom is just the no-nonsense approach to what you all do in terms of marketing the brand, what the brand stands for, who you're trying to target, and being somewhat, I wouldn't say risky, but being out there and trying different things. I mean, it's higher eds, as you know, do things very particularly in one way or another. You're going to go from A to B to C to D. But you folks you're trying different things. And I'd love for you to talk about some of the new initiatives that Questrom's rolling through, specifically insights, because from a communications and marketing standpoint, this content is king. To try to bring MBA students, undergrad students, and corporate partners to your doorstep, content is kind of that mousetrap, and insights is something we've been working on at our firm, and a vision from you and Susan and other folks at Questrom. But talk about insights in general, and what's that in terms of that being a catalyst of marketing for the school? What's that look like?
Yeah, I think that's a great place to talk about, or a great initiative that to speak about. I like how you pitched it, though, in the sense that we are trying to do new things, right? I think BU has been around for a long time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Our undergraduate business program is one of the oldest in the country. Our school is over 100 years old. And so you do fall into the trap of being traditional. But I feel that Boston University in general, led by our president, Robert Brown, our provost, Gene Morrison, and our school under the leadership of Susan more recently, have really made it a point not to get stuck in the past. We have to constantly be looking forward to figuring out what's the next step, where can we move in a more strategic nature to be competitive, because the world of higher ed is going to only get more competitive. So, one of the things that we stress at the Questrom School of Business, because we are a research institution, is research with impact. And, business is not typically one of those disciplines where you're going to see large amounts of, NIH money coming in for grants. And not that we don't have $0 in grants coming in. We do. We have some faculty have great grants, but it's not common, right? And so the research that business faculty do oftentimes is applied research. But the problem is that the professionals out in the world of industry are not going to the academic journals. They're not going to the academic conferences to hear this research. So the whole drive behind Insights at Questrom, as sort of outlined and dreamed up by our dean, Susan Fournier, who is a researcher herself and has prided her whole research career around research with impact, is all about bringing research to everyday challenges that business leaders face. And it's aimed at a wide range of audience, from the academic to the professional and industry to alumni to students. And we're really proud of the initiative that we've launched just a few months ago in how much it's grown. And it's a multimedia platform. You'll have articles, you have live events that people are, you don't have to be a member of the Questrom community to join them. But these Insights at Questrom live events can be joined by anybody in the world who wants to hear from experts around what's happening right now in business and how they can apply what our faculty is learning through their research into their everyday lives.
What I love about this effort is that, being a former reporter and from the news business, and knowing how the media these days is so fractured and focused on a very few things, COVID, political unrest, and you name it, everything that we pitch from an agency perspective has to have one of those sort of bents. And I've preached for years that brands must become their own New York Times and their own media entity. And I think Insights is, whoever came up with the idea it's brilliant, because I think you've become your own media engine. And to your point, it is multi-channel, multifaceted, different storylines, different beats. And the fact that you've been able to wrangle very busy faculty, a very busy dean, you're a very busy guy. But I feel that there's a very transparent, collaborative process here that you've all have fostered to make this work. And that's a challenge in itself. I mean, speak to just, you've got a lot of busy people doing a lot of great things, a lot of impactful research around the world, but to collect that group of talent and bring it to this one entity, what do you think that what's the design behind this asset? What do you hope to have it do for the brand in terms of generating, whether it be applications or business partnerships? What's the business case for this?
Yeah, so before I get to that, I think you're exactly right. It's been a full team effort.
Yeah,
it is an amazing group of people that have helped bring this whole venture off the ground, from your organization to, as you said, the faculty. And I think that the pitch, if you will, for Insights, especially as we talk to faculty, is that this is quick. This is gut reactions. This is not a refereed journal, right? You are a business faculty member. You've spent a lot of years studying this stuff. You should be able to take up any topic du jour and be able to have a comment and a thought about it.
Hot takes.
And when you pitch it that way to faculty and say, look, we're looking for 600 words on this thing or 500 words on this thing, it becomes a lot more digestible for them, especially in their busy lives. Yeah. As you said before, content is king. And for a number of years, we have talked about a marketing strategy for our enrollment purposes of, let's get out there with more content. And then as anybody who's ever done content marketing knows, it's a lot of work to develop that content. And so for us, if we were able to have a platform that allows us to achieve a number of different goals in the sense of how do we bring research with impact out to the world, but also how do we repurpose that content to push that out to potential applicants. We're getting a lot smarter with our applicant pool. We're getting to know them a lot more. What are they interested in? And so Don, you put interest that your interest is digital platforms. And boy, you know what? We just had an article written around, from Marshall Van Alstyne, who just, talked about why it's important to go after the liars and not just the lies when people are out on social media platforms. And so we can push that to you and say, hey, look what our fact is doing. And so having a content engine that can serve multiple roles and achieve a number of different objectives is absolutely critical for us and how we look at this going forward.
Making content relevant to a cross section of audiences is not an easy thing.
That is not.
But the fact that you have, that this is a dean-led, effort with faculty that can touch different facets of business and translate them into, your average, consumer, reading level is wonderful, because these are, whether it's the economy, the branding, some of these topics, and you know this very well, faculty are very smart and they write as professors and esteemed folks that have spent years and years in education, but sometimes they have a hard time kind of flipping the translation coin around to say, this is what it means to you in your business. And I find that Insights has been kind of that coffee filter a little bit. Look, this is happening with GameStop, right? From an academic perspective, and what can we learn from this one instance to you, the general consumer, who might be sitting on $10,000 and you might want to invest, and you might be dumping it all to GameStop, knowing that there could be some backlash because of that. What are the things that the faculty can share to provide insights there? So I think it's a great platform, and it's just starting. But as you can tell, I mean, I'm excited about it. You're excited about it. I guess sort of my second to last question here would be,
just before you go there, real quick, and just to give another example of that, it's just. Because I agree with you 100%. It's making it digestible. I have an undergraduate business degree. I understand business. I understand some statistics and those different types of things. Right when Pfizer came out and talked about their efficacy of their vaccines, one of our faculty members wrote a great article explaining the statistics behind it and why you could still take the findings of a small study and apply it to the greater population. It made it so easy to understand. And you're just like, oh, this is great. And that was when it clicked for me of, this is exactly what we're trying to do. Anybody could read it and understand, why is it okay for a small sample of individuals who, went through this trial, that we can, validate it to the general population. So I agree.
That's good. One of the things I found that helps with this process and getting faculty on board is that, they got into this profession because they want to teach and they want to collaborate and be in front of people. What I've a good talking point and a way to sort of, get the horse to water, if you will, is that the mass media and podcasting and videos and content marketing is just another form of education. You might not be sitting in front of 25 students on a Zoom or in a classroom. You are now speaking to a broader audience. And as a Northeastern kid, it pains me to say that I can learn from BU faculty members, and we compete in the bean pot. But like, the stuff that you guys are producing has been personally and professionally educative for me as well, which has been. Getting free content is hard these days because the paywalls and everything else. The fact that this engine exists, and I guarantee you there'll be other schools out there trying to emulate this in some way, shape, or form. So it's going to be, I can't wait to do more of this and kind of get further down the trough with this, because I think it's going to be a great asset for you and a great learning opportunity for us as well. The next question is really, what's next? I mean, you guys seem to be rocking and rolling on multiple cylinders, but with obviously whatever you can share publicly, what's next for Insights? What's next for Questrom at Boston University?
Well, there's a lot that's obviously going on with the world and how things change and how we educate. We recently launched our online MBA program, have exceeded all of our enrollment targets for that program.
Congrats.
We're trying to shift that away and really try to do things that are special and, advances through the live engagements where, people said, no, you can't do case conversations with 400 people. We're proving them wrong. So there's a lot of great things going on at the school as we try to innovate over the next several years as we come out of COVID. With Insights, I think that there's a lot of special things that could come our way, and where we take Insights from here. I think you mentioned earlier on is, how does this become like a newsroom, right? And how does it become current? How do we, if a major business story breaks, how are we getting to the people immediately to get our take on what's happening? And so I think that there's a lot that we could go, a lot of directions we could go in with insights. And so I'm excited to discuss those more and chart that path forward. Absolutely. With all of our faculty colleagues and our marketing colleagues and you and our dean, because I do think that we can create something truly special that not only helps Questrom. Of course, you always want to do something that's helping your brand and your organization, but we truly do believe in the fact that we have a responsibility to educate the world. And it's part of our mission. And the more people that we can engage in that, the better. And in fact, one of the things that'll be coming up recently is a new part of the insights at, insights.bu.edu site will be the business education section. We several years ago led a worldwide conversation on the future of business education. And so we want to bring that to the people and start to create forums for people that continue those conversations around what is the future of business education? How do we need to change? So that's an exciting part that'll be launching soon, in addition to what's already on the site in the way of addressing business challenges and the traditional business functions. So a lot more to come. We're excited.
Well, I commend you and the team there for taking this risk and going all in on it, because I think that you are, as higher ed has had a pretty risk averse, but this is a bit of a leap, but I think it's working out so far. And just from a communication standpoint, I'm so impressed with what you all have done, even through the pandemic. I remember early on seeing maybe a video clip or two of you playing guitar and doing some musical notes, trying to keep people in the Questrom world engaged. So
that's right. Right.
I do. And what I'll do is I'll try to drop a link in the description to show you folks what JP's musical skills, which is pretty impressive in a separate podcast. But I think, you said it, Questrom has been there for quite some time. BU's been there around for a long time. But the fact that a school, organization like yours has continued to try to innovate in a very competitive market for eyeballs and clicks and applications and yield and melt and all that kind of good stuff. It's good to see that kind of still content is king. And I think this could be not only just a upper funnel thought leadership platform for Questrom, but really something that could benefit, alumni engagement, corporate partnerships, enrollment. So it's a really good example. If you're a brand ambassador out there, follow what Questrom's doing at Insights, because it's going to be a platform that could really make an impactful side on the business. So good stuff. Any last bit of advice or thoughts about the future of Insights at Questrom?
Not much. I think that as people think about their content, it's about relevancy, right? It's about bringing it to the people and making sure that everybody has the knowledge they need to be successful in life and in business and in education. So
agreed.
I couldn't be more excited to be a part of this initiative with so many great people here at Questrom, from the leadership all the way through.
Well, do me one more favor. Give me the link where people should go, and if they want to get in touch with you about Insights or just about learning more about the programs at Questrom, how can they get a hold of you?
So the link to Insights is insights.bu.edu, and if you want to get a hold of me, I can be found on the web, matychak@bu.edu. I'm always happy to network with folks, talk with folks. I'm happy to learn from others. Out. That's right. Grab a guitar, banjo, jam out with a few of my faculty colleagues here at Questrom. So
good stuff. Well, JP, I do appreciate the time. I know you're a busy man, so I'll let you go. So let's do this again in a month or two. And Insights has done something else fantastic. But thanks. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Don.
No problem. Thanks for joining me again on the PR Bunker podcast. This was a fun one, talking new media with JP over at Questrom School of Business at Boston University. Check out what they're doing over there. Really cool stuff. Pretty innovative when it comes to content marketing and using your own channels to get your brand out there. But in the meantime, for more episodes, hit prbunker.com. Until next time, I'll see you later.